Hello and salam. We'll start in about 1 minute. I'll just let all the people to jump into the press conference for anyone who is late, and then we'll get started with reading the press statement and we'll go through some of the questions. As I said, we will get started in less than a minute, so I'm just giving time for everyone to get placed. In the meantime, to anyone who is out there, do follow our Instagram, Twitter, and other social media platforms to stay up to date with the current campaign. Very exciting to have everyone here. I'll might as well get started. My name is Kabir Kurban, and I'll start off by reading the press statement that has been put together by the Score for Rights team. International activists and organizations call the Olympians to raise the Hope for Change salute during or after the Games to draw the world's attention to human rights violations committed by the Chinese government. The campaign is being held on several social media platforms, aiming to reach a wider audience through media interviews and news coverage. The campaign believes that the pressure put by civil society on China will help politicians take concrete action to force China to respect human rights. China has been on the receiving end of criticism from activists, politicians, and international media for its violation of civil liberties. Acknowledging the strong impact of the diplomatic boycott, the Score for Rights 22 campaign asserts that the Olympics, as an international event watched by millions around the world, provide a great medium to raise awareness about China's human rights abuses against the Uyghurs, Hong Kongers, punishes the wrong ones, the athletes. As the president of International Olympic Committee, Thomas Bach, states in this article in The Guardian. The sports organizations had very little, if any, political influence, while on the athletes' side, we had very little say. Our voices were heard neither by the politicians nor by our sports leaders, he adds, stressing that athletes don't have any impact on the decision making process in politics. The hashtag Score for Rights 2022 campaign believes that the Olympics provide a unique opportunity to convey a strong solidarity message, which is an Olympic motto that can spark the torch of change in the long criticized human rights practices of China, which sees the Olympics as an opportunity to fix its image internationally. This track record of evidence of China's human rights abuses, such as forced labor, torture, killings in the internment camps, mass surveillance, arbitrary detention, crackdown on democratic movements, restraints on freedom of religion and expression, and many more. China is in the midst of its darkest period of human rights since the Tiananmen Square massacre, according to Human Rights Watch Annual Report 2020. The violation of civil liberties has been raising concerns and rage amongst human rights activists and politicians around the world. The hashtag Score for Rights 2022 campaign, started by international activists who have been working on rights advocacy, inviting everyone to unite to initiate a change in China's take on human rights. The campaign team was inspired by the 1968 Olympics Black Power salute to come up with a sign which is simple, easy to use, and non political. The Hope for Change salute, the campaign sign, is done by raising the hand, making the C shape, which holds the full moon, representing the hope for change. This is expected to become a symbol bringing people together for the sole purpose of securing human rights for the minority groups, such as Uyghurs, Tibetans, South Mongolians, as well as pro democracy activists in Hong Kong and elsewhere in China. So we will wait for a question. Everyone can send them through. You can send them through YouTube, Facebook, whatever means you have. You can also send us an email. Question is, what do you demand from the IOC? We share the same values with the IOC, which are unity and solidarity. We call on them to make fair decisions about athletes who stand for the exact same values. Our values and our ideas align with the constitution of the IOC. This is not a political movement, but a movement purely that aims to fulfill the values and human rights which must be applied everywhere. Now, the next question. What do you think should be the role of politics within the Games? Politics and government is the strongest body that can force China to respect human rights. But there are political and economic concerns, which is not something we will discuss whether they can or cannot be justified. We must not forget that the Chinese government is the one to blame for the crimes, and we don't want to punish the athletes nor the Olympic Committee simply because the crime belongs to the criminal. What we can do is put an international pressure on China, as we have seen in the media, which will help politicians in making a decision to favor those who are oppressed by China. So we're just waiting for more questions to come in. So please do submit them. And once again, the best way to stay tuned would be to follow our social media pages and share the content. For our goal is the same as yours, to share and spread the information about human rights concerns within China. The next question that just came in is, how do we define success? If a single athlete does the sign on the podium or after the podium, if a family or friends get together and they join our challenges, if the international community puts pressure on China, if a single innocent person is released from jail, from their arbitrary confinement, that is success. If any single one of these get through, that is success. For humans everywhere. So if one life is saved, that is success. Just waiting for more questions to come in. These are great questions, everyone. Amazing. This is a great question. It says, who are you? What is the campaign about? As I mentioned earlier in the press statement, we are a group of activists who came together to raise our voices against China's mass human rights violations using the Olympics as a medium. The campaign aims to get anyone who values human rights together and call the Olympians to raise the Hope for Change salute during the Games, to stand in solidarity with those who are oppressed by China. These are great questions. Keep coming in, keep bringing them in, everyone. Let's try to get this as big as possible. Okay. Next question just came in. Very reasonable question. It says, do you think the Olympians will be willing to support you? What do you demand from them? Great question. I'll start off by saying what it is that we demand. What we are asking is for them to show our sign, to represent our hope and change during or after the games. We have been in contact with Olympians, and we are very excited to say that the information has been sent. And all we are asking is that that they read it, and then they go through with the challenges that we are asking them. Do we think that the Olympians will be willing to support us? I believe that any human who has a strand of humanity left within them will stand up and should stand up against human rights violations that are being inflicted on the Uyghurs, the Hong Kongers, the Tibetans, and other minority groups within China's borders. Amazing questions, everyone. Keep them coming. Let's see what other questions are coming up. Awesome, the moderators sent another one saying that many rights groups have been calling for a boycott of the Olympics. I'm guessing. Are you against boycotting? We are not against the boycotting movement. We do believe that boycotting gives a very strong message. But at the same time, we realize that when some Olympians boycott, this raises the Olympics more for some of the Olympians. So now the Olympics gives us a unique opportunity to amplify our voice internationally because millions of people around the world will watch the games. So, to those very few Olympians who have worked hard their entire lives to get to that stage, to get to that point, to compete on an international level against athletes who have done the same, we understand this takes a lot of effort and we don't want to deprive them of that. What we are asking is that you stand in solidarity with the people who are being oppressed in the land that you are going to play the games in. This next question is very related to the question that we just answered, but we can go into a little bit more depths with that. It says, should the athletes boycott? If they do, that's a big sacrifice which must be applauded by everyone. But we cannot blame the athletes who do not boycott, as it is a once in a lifetime opportunity for most of them to compete within the Olympics. And they don't have any impact on politics. They do not have any say where the Olympics takes place, and it would be unfair and unjust to deprive them of such an opportunity. So, what they can do is pass the message through the Olympics, which is again a big contribution to the international struggle against China's human rights violations. We understand that Olympians are just humans who have worked hard, very hard, to get to where they are. And we would not want to deprive them of such an amazing opportunity to go and compete at an international level. All we do and all we are asking them to do is to use that platform to stand up for human rights. Okay, I think that was a good set of questions. We've gone through what we needed to say. So I will leave you with the final message. We see the Olympics as the best opportunity to raise awareness about China's human rights violations and put international pressure on China to respect human rights. On the other I apologize for the technical difficulties. It is always hard, new age, with a message. And the final message is we see the Olympics as the best opportunity to raise awareness about China's human rights violations and put an international pressure on China to respect human rights. On the other hand, China sees the Olympics as an opportunity to fix its image internationally. So, just as the Olympic motto goes, let the games be a medium for us to go faster, aim higher, and become stronger by standing together in solidarity. And let humanity be the winner of the Olympics.